Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The Season 4 Reloaded update ended up adjusting several different main meta weapons in the game in various ways. Some got buffs, some got nerfs. A lot of the focus actually was on the long range meta. We saw several changes to some of the top weapons there. So today we are going over the new long range meta here for Season 4 Reloaded. As we break it all down, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I got you covered with all things going on in COD. News, updates, loadouts, tips, you name it, you'll find it right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. So just to get a few of the basic ones out of the way, despite seeing some nerfs to some of those main top meta weapons like the NZ and the bar, both of those do still sit atop the long range meta. They are still very easy to use, super simple recoil patterns. Even on the bar where that was nerfed, it's still pretty easy. The NZ also got a recoil nerf, but it's still relatively straightforward. And then general TTKs, even though they don't have the greatest damage anymore because they're so easy to land shots with, are just super consistent, right? So two very strong options. Of course, the setup here for the NZ initially, nothing that we haven't seen before. 360 barrel MX silencer, going for the 3 to 6 times optic as well. The EPAC stock for better control on there. The strife angled underbarrel to help out with that horizontal control. The 50 round mags, we're gonna go for lengthened and then hatched on there as well. That's sort of the new deadly duo for ammunition and rear grip on most of the long range rifles. Perk 1, we got brace for that better initial control. And then perk 2, we got fully loaded or on hand if you want that faster ADS instead. Like I said, the setup is nothing we haven't seen before. And same deal with the bar as well. Honestly, it's going to be the same setup we were running last season. Of course, though, it's going to have just a tad bit more control, but still very doable and very usable, if you will, over medium and long range fights. We got the 30-inch barrel on there that'll offer the best control properties. The 3 to 6 times scope on here as well. We've sort of gone back and forth between the Chariot WR and Wire stock. Wire obviously for some aggression, Chariot for some control, and now because that control nerf, you probably want to opt for the WR instead. We got Carver on there because the recoil is straight vertical. The Clouds 40 for that better control as well. Again, we got lengthened, and then we also got hatched on here too. Perk 1 is going to be hard scope for that better control, and then perk 2 again, fully loaded or on hand, whichever one you prefer. Both of those are always great choices. Now, in my opinion, several different Cold War rifles do fall into the long range meta right now. We're talking the Vargo 52, which we'll use as an example here. The same setup is applied to every single one of these rifles, so we don't have to show every single one, but we got the Vargo 52, the Farah is there, so is the QBZ, so is the XM4, and so is the newly buffed Krig, in my opinion, as well. And like I said, the setup for these is the exact same. It's always going to be the GRU or the agency suppressor. It's going to be Task Force or the RPK barrel. For the underbarrel, it's either Spetsnaz or the Field Agent Grip, whichever one ends up showing up. The 60 or the 50 round mag, depending on the gun. And then also the 3 times optic. You can go ahead and throw on a reticle there if you want to. Precision is super clean. I always like running that one, but very basic Cold War copy and paste rifle setup, but it now applies to honestly more Cold War rifles than ever when it comes to this long range meta. Now, we also know the M13 got a buff with the Season 4 Reloaded update, and this also, in my opinion, falls under the long range meta. It was already in the conversation before last season when we were breaking down the stats. A lot of people started to see, you know, the M13's TTK is pretty similar to the pre-patch NZ41. Obviously, it has a little bit more recoil, a little bit worse mobility because it only has 5 attachments, but you know, shot for shot, it can stack up pretty well with things like the NZ over range, which is pretty exciting. So absolutely, because that buff, I think it falls into this category. Now, of course, we're starting off with monolithic suppressor. We got the marksman barrel on there, biggest barrel in this case for the best range, velocity, and control. We got the commando foregrip on there for better control, the 60 round mags to help with that very, very bad damage per mag. Then also the VLK 3 times optic on there with that T-pose reticle, nice and clean, easy to stay on target, easy to fry at 70, 80, 90, 100 plus meters if you find yourself in that situation. Now, probably my new favorite weapon this season, or this half season, I should say, is the KG M40. This feels a lot like the NZ did pre-patch, but not nearly as broken. It does feel more balanced. You'll notice that it doesn't completely fry everyone in an unreasonable way. It's just very strong and very consistent, which I think means that it's a very well balanced weapon. It's super low recoil, incredibly easy to use. Decent damage, like I said. So because of that recoil and the solid damage output, the realistic TTK is going to be ultra competitive. So first up here, we are starting off with that MX silencer. We also have the shrouded barrel on here for that better velocity and control as well. You can run the 2.5 times scope if you want to. You can run the 3 to 6. Personally, that's what I'm opting for. I like that a little bit more. For the stock here, we want to go for padded just for that better control in general. Also helps out with the movement a bit too, which is nice and ideal. For the underbarrel, because the recoil is just so easy, you can go ahead and run the skeletal, which is going to help out with that ADS, which is a little bit slower, so you get some of that back. We just got the basic extended mag here in the Clouser 60. Of course, we got lengthened and we also got hatched on there per usual. Perk 1 is going to end up being tight grip for that better control during sustained fire. We don't have any initial control options here, so it's not going to counteract that. Then perk 1, again, fully loaded or on hand, whichever one you might prefer. And then lastly, to round things out, we've got the PKM. This thing is a low recoil powerhouse. It is obviously very slow, especially compared to these other options. It is heavy. It is an LMG. The reload is not ideal, but for power, for long range engagements, this thing can decimate if you're landing your shots. And it's really not all that hard to land shots because the recoil is very, very consistent here. So it absolutely is a top long range option, I think, for console or PC. We're going to run with the monolithic suppressor here, the extended barrel, which is basically the longest one in this case yet again by about an inch actually. Better range, better velocity, better control. We got the VOK 3x optic on there yet again with that T-pose reticle. For the underbarrel, we have the unique snatch grip, which is pretty much only available on the PKM for better control, but also a better ADS. So that does definitely help out because obviously being an LMG, the ADS stat isn't incredible. Not that that's the most important factor in long range fights, but hey, if you can get it as a pro and you can get it increased, that's always a good thing, right? Like, you're not going to complain about that. I don't feel like you need an extended mag here. You could use a rear grip like the Stippy, but I don't feel like that's really optimizing the weapon the best. Of course, because that reload is so abysmal, sleight of hand is never a bad choice. But again, I don't think you're fully optimizing it. I don't think any of the stock's really worth it. Instead, I'd go for something like a tac laser to help out not only with that ADS again, but also the aiming stability over range, which just makes it nice and convenient. And again, even more consistent than before. So you just love to see that. This is a very basic weapon. And honestly, it's been a top tier gun since Warzone dropped. It just doesn't get talked about much, which is kind of strange. But that being said, those are the best weapons for the long range meta here after the reloaded update. That's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way, every single day, you can stay up to date with the latest news, updates, loadouts, tips, and everything else going on in COD. And of course, and as always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code WhosImmortal for a spicy discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. And the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.